On the live chat, remember you to God, your privacy. Okay.
All right, what's going on, Ma?
Hi. Hey, what's up, bro? What's going on, man?
Ain't nothing much, man. I'm so glad that you're able to be here with me, man, because I think today's going to be really impactful for homeowners because it's really going to allow for them to be able to see themselves in a different perspective than that of just wanting to get the work done, but rather that of being able to understand that they got to also they they gotta also think about who they're getting the work done by. And
Yeah.
so what we want to do for you guys today is go deep dive into how to look at properly finding the right contractor. Finding the right contractor is very necessary. What we found in our expert over the last 25 years, Mark being in business over 15 years, myself included, over 30 years combined. But that's just in hardscape design and problem solving. We spent an additional 10 years cutting grass. And so one of the things that you're going to understand is that as a homeowner, one of the best things that you can do in order to ensure that you get the best result is ensure that you are the time to pick the right contractor. So
Yeah.
I want to talk about some things that I think a lot of homeowners are going to be benefited from, and that's just being able to understand the process that I suggest after having been in the business for some time now that most people would go through if they were going to find a landscape contractor or somebody that they were going to do the work. And I would definitely say one of the most important things that I've been able to see is that necessary to begin reading the landscape companies. And the reason why I say that is because I see this that wasn't located nowhere near where they are. So therefore, they were somewhere in a whole nother particular county, sometimes two or three counties away. They didn't have a track record, and it really just showed that the individual didn't do any due diligence before actually hiring the contractor, but maybe we're more concerned about the price. But I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the significance of hiring a professional landscape company? Like, what are some of the things that you think is necessary, and then how you feel about that?
I'll tell you, first one is uh verifying, you know what I'm saying? Verifying the company, evaluating the company, making sure the company is to say who they say they are really, you have a lot of, hats off to all my contractors, but at the same time, you have a lot of contractors that, fly by night, they're low on the radar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They,
Mm-hmm.
they do work, and they do work to the best of their ability, things of that nature. And besides that, you know what I'm saying, they're almost like a ghost. One day you
Right.
see them, the next day you don't. And
Right.
so,
Right.
then you hear about, that's the reason why you hear about so many of those, people going into the news and things of that nature and say, hey,
Yeah.
my contractor, you know,
Yeah.
uh, came out, and I gave him, $100,000 to, start on my A, B, and C. And,
Right. Right.
haven't seen him anymore. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah. You're
mean?
so right.
So
You're so
yeah,
right.
so you know what I'm saying. The first one I would say is, evaluating the company, seeing if they have a social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
See if they are who they say they are. See if they have a website. See if they
Mm-hmm.
have, any kind of referrals, or
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. See if they have any, the last project that they just
Yeah.
wrapped up with. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, they'll tell you, hey, we just, wrapped up on a project and we did A, B, and C. Hey, take a look at that. And then if that
Mm-hmm.
is the case, then guess what? Get their information, because nine times out of
Mm-hmm.
10, if you did a great job for them, guess what's gonna happen? Hey, Mrs. Lane. Hey, I have a new potential client that would like to talk to you. If you don't mind, you and Mr. Lane, would you all please, have a little opportunity to can I give him your number and you have an opportunity to just to talk to him and just tell him,
Right.
how everything was or this and that. Or better yet, can we all stop by together on Saturday afternoon to take a look at this project that we just done? And I just want to walk them through a
Mhm.
few things and give them some ideas of the work that we done. And then also
Mhm.
too, if that's the case, then as I say that, go back to some of their past jobs to really see
Right.
how the
Right. Right.
project look, not just the
Right.
previous, but maybe last year's. You know,
Mhm. Yeah, that's good.
if you use quality products and do a a great material, quality material, it should stand up throughout the elements and things of that nature, and it really should look like you just left.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's very good because it underscores the ability of understanding that if you're a business owner, you want to make sure that you have an online resource that allows for your customers to be able to see the full potential of your abilities.
Right,
And so, one of the
right,
things that we do as a landscaping company, we go the extra mile in order to ensure that we're able to provide as much resource as possible to our homeowner in order to help them understand that they're making the right choice because oftentimes they're spending tens of thousands of dollars with us. And so, one of the things that you can do as a homeowner is just to begin to understand that you must begin utilizing online resources that help you identify whether or not that person is actually who they say they are. And by
right.
doing that, it's going to help you really be in a potential to figure out the true potential of that individual. You said something very key, Marv. Being able to speak to an existing homeowner about something that you may have that they may have done for someone else is very, very, very vital because it's going to help you make the decision on whether or not that person is going to be someone that you would trust to do the job for you. And I think the last person that you did a job for, if they don't have nothing good to say about you, then you might want to reconsider that. So maybe if you're doing a big job, guys, or you're finding yourself looking for a way to identify if you're working with the right contractor, what we're simply saying is one of the steps is researching the landscaping company. And as Marv said, that just means seeking out the proper recommendations, right? Seeking out those additional referrals. And then also being able to utilize online resources to find potential landscapers. Those are some of the basic fundamentals that I would say. But let's go even further than that. Let's talk about evaluating landscaping companies. How do you go about verifying professional credentials and qualifications in order to determine if the company is the right fit for your landscape? What's some of the things that you've seen, such as if it is experience, expertise, and what is it that helps you identify that although this person said they do landscaping, I need drainage solutions. And so I think that's very key for homeowners because oftentimes they call somebody thinking that they're getting
Right.
somebody that does all these different types of services that maybe they need, but really they're only good at one or two of them, even though they've combined a lot of them. And so kind of wanted to see how would one go about verifying that in regards.
Honestly, man, it's just like research, man. You're gonna have to, for homeowners, they're gonna have to do their research and really seek out the one and really going almost
Mm-hmm.
down a rabbit hole if you're looking for a
Mm-hmm.
good service. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And good quality work. You're gonna have to go down a rabbit hole. You can check,
Right.
a lot of time YouTube. You can check your
Right. Right.
as crazy as it sounds, we think that a lot of contractors have these things, and a lot of them do, but it's going to tell you exactly what they do. From a
Right.
website, you can tell if a contractor, does seasonal lawn maintenance. You can tell if
Right.
they, do drainage solutions. You can tell if they
Mm-hmm.
do,
Mm-hmm.
build what kind of, building that they do, if they do outdoor lighting, if they do low
Mhm.
voltage,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
electrical.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you can see if they build pergolas, things of that nature.
Right.
You're gonna have to
Right.
stay and build some, and just go down the rabbit hole and do some deep research on what's going on. And then from that research, then it's like anything else. Once you go to YouTube and you hear somebody talking, you kind of like their flow, and that person will speak to you. You're like, oh man,
Right.
I just seen that. Oh, I
Right.
just seen them. Oh, that voice sounds familiar. So then you start to take, it's almost like an artist. After a while, you hear any of your good artists, after so long, you hear they how they story tell or
Mhm.
see hear
Mhm.
how they think.
Mhm.
Hear how they paint the picture for you, and you will start to
Mhm.
get a little liking for them. I hate to say,
Mhm.
a lot of times, we come to, and I'm gonna be honest, a lot of times we come to clients
Mhm.
and they go to the big three, the
Mm.
three, the three quotes, and they go which one, whatever is the lowest. But it's not always about the price. And reason why I say it's
Mhm.
not the price, because that lowest, one maybe not. That might honestly, he only they that company may own one may not have a social presence
Right.
on social media. They might only do 2 or 3 projects a year of what you're looking for. Three,
Right.
they might not have the proper experience and
Right.
certified in those particular areas. That's some of the reason why they're significantly lower than the next contractor, is because they don't have all those qualities. They might be using a big box brand product
Right.
than your distributor. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
they might
Right.
not have a warranty for the next 5 to 10 years or lifetime.
Mhm. Mhm.
They
Mhm.
might
That's
be, as
good.
soon as they get, what I mean, as soon as they get
Yeah.
done, they might be just ready to go, and you'll never see them again.
That's good. That's
So
good.
you know what I mean? So a lot
That's good.
of those things, come into place and come into presence when it comes to evaluating that company's to see if they're the right fit for you.
That's good. I like the way you said that, and the way that you broke that down led us to the next point that I wanted to make is, in comparing these different landscaping companies, some of the way that you're able to do so is by being able to identify the way in which they go about their detail. And so some people quote and they put all of the quote content within one line item, and they give you a price, right?
Right.
And so when you get a quote from someone as a homeowner, guys, it's necessary that you begin to identify the legitimacy of that individual just based on the way in which they're going to be able to present the initial quote to you. So one of the things that has made us successful over the last decade now, and this has been a technology that has been accessible for over the last decade, was to provide customers with a detailed line itemized quote that allowed for them to not only be able to see where their money was going, but also be able to have a better description, able to have a picture that is backed up with it. And so a lot of times when you're working with a great company, you're going to be able to see that they're going to provide you with a great quoting system, and that
Yeah.
quoting system is going to allow for you to be able to evaluate easily whether or not they're just putting numbers together or exactly where your money is going. And I like to
Right.
use this term a lot when I go out to my customers' homes, is that the way in which we provide you with a detailed line itemized quote allows you to see where your money is going, but it also allows for you to be able to determine where maybe you want to cut back on your budget, right?
Right.
So somebody with that type of consciousness in mind, when they're providing you a service, it says that they're not only thinking about their bottom line, they're thinking about your bottom line. And I think that a quoting tool that allows for transparency is one of the major tools that is very, very effective. But if you had to give another one, when it comes to like considering additional factors such as coverages on insurance and warranties and all of that, what would you say is necessary? Because you would see a lot of times there are people that hire that don't even have insurance, that don't even have warranties, how warranty backed by some of the sod or some of the work that they do. How important is that?
It's very important because I mean, things happen, especially when you come to dealing with insurance. You have your guys out there, have
Mhm.
machines out there, and true enough,
Mhm.
we're calling to get everything marked,
Right.
underground before we start. Going through the rule of thumb with that. But a lot of times, it's happened before where the gas line, or
Mhm.
just God forbid, something is not marked from 811.
Right.
Now, guess what happens? Or if it may be marked, but if it's, it's say for instance, it's not marked, but you still hit it. Guess what? You still want to get it paid for. Say for instance, the machine is wrong. I remember
Yeah.
when we used to
Yeah, I just about to say that. Yeah.
cut grass. Guess what? You got the weed eater wide open. You done did 15 jobs that day, and the sun, the Georgia sun, is hitting you in the
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? And you
Yeah.
can't even
Yeah.
you seen heat mirages, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
cold water and beer, you know what I'm saying? You ready to
Yeah.
go home. Bam. Just all of a sudden, guess
Yeah.
what? You didn't hit a glass. You
Yeah.
didn't hit
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
didn't. I done spider web plenty. I'm here to
Right.
tell you, I done spider web plenty patios, buddy. Two
Yeah. Yeah.
second story windows with the lawnmower come out of nowhere. Now guess what? Now you got to have insurance to pay for it. One, because it's your
Mhm.
client, and two, you broke it. You or one of your
Right.
guys have
Right.
broken it. So it's very, you know what I mean, and it's very critical to have those things. You have machines on that price. You might hit the side of the home, whatever happens. But clients don't think about those things a lot of times, and I hate to say, and it's always goes down to uh the bottom line. It always
Mhm.
goes down to that low that last number. And
Mhm.
that's what's in a lot of times, those last numbers, that's higher, that is lower, you know what I mean? And things
Mhm.
of questions that we need to ask our contractors when we, hey, what's all in this? What is, but a lot of times people don't ask. So I
Yeah,
would,
that's good.
answer to your question, yes, so, some kind of insurance into that, so you know that you're covered. How much insurance are you covered backed out on this project?
Right. Now that's good.
Depending
So
on,
essentially, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say essentially what you're saying too. Then it's necessary for homeowners to make sure
Hmm.
that they're identifying an individual's insurance and or bonded insurance capabilities, meaning that you're asking for a general liability or something that allows for you to
Absolutely.
identify that if there is a rock that hits your house, or maybe someone that does strike a water line, or even a gas line, God forbid, that they have the million over $2 million company policy insurance that allows for you to be protected. And so that is one great thing. But you also mentioned another one, and that was warranty. Oftentimes an
Hmm.
individual that's not willing to warranty their work is somebody that was prepared to get out of Dodge. And I
That's
think
right.
oftentimes that only happens when you're hiring contractors that are not located in your backyard.
Yeah.
And that is a very big mistake that I see a lot of homeowners do. But it comes down to what you just said, that bottom line number, that understanding of why that price was so cheap, and or why you found that you were getting such a dramatic increase in the price. Well, it had a lot to do with the fact that the individual was going to come back and warranty the grass. They were going to come back and warranty the landscape drainage solution. If a problem arose, they were only less than 5 to 10 miles away. You could pull up on their actual location. And so
Hmm.
a lot of these things are very important when you think about it as a homeowner, when you're spending hard earned money, especially when you're doing it in a way to solve a problem, or you're enhancing your landscape with hardscapes and a lot of the things that we do on a continual basis. When we're solving problems on a landscape, you want to make sure that there's a warranty in place. You want to see if there's a warranty in place. I think that what I've found is that if there's some type of guarantee or warranty, that if something happens to a certain extent of what I did, then I will be prepared it is a great way to identify a legitimate company, but then also understanding that if there's a warranty that they've built up with their clientele, the distributors like we have with our side distributors, so that over the
Right.
next year, you're going to be able to be
It's
warranted.
going to come
And
back.
so if somebody doesn't have that type of relationship with their actual distributor, guys, you may find yourself in a very difficult situation, even being able to have your grass warranted. But I think it also proves that that may not be the right contractor for you. So, I think, moving along to on that, it brings us to that understanding of our homeowners assessing customer satisfaction and reviews, and how are they doing it? Because I always get this call, you had great online reviews, you had great online reviews, you had great online reviews. And that always made me think that the fact that I had great online reviews allowed this individual to
Right.
decide to choose me.
Right.
And so I wonder, how many of those bad experiences that we hear about all the time, did those individuals have any reviews, and or did they have bad reviews? So how important do you think that it is for a homeowner to be checking out the reviews and reading the reviews and identifying the reviews on multiple different platforms of their specific company that they're going to be working with?
Choosing your contractor is just like choosing anything else. It's just like choosing that, those shoes, or
Mm,
that chair, that television, that refrigerator, that grill that you wanted, to see what the people says, because it goes to the same thing. You want a great service, you want a great product. You don't want
mhm.
anything else. You know what I mean? I mean, when you go online and look at anything else, you don't go back on you don't look at the price, or you don't look
Right.
at this, or you don't look at, you just look at it for what it is, and then you move forward from there. So it's very important, especially one, because this is a investment on your property that is actually going to, it should bring the value up by another 20%, depending on what it is that you're getting done on your particular property. So,
That's good. So let me ask you then, and I don't mean to cut your wisdom. What about interviewing past customers to learn about their experiences? Maybe being able to find a way to work with the contractor to figure out if you can
mhm.
talk to somebody that they had previously done a job for, or just being able to interview and or talk to somebody that they would have done jobs for in the past. How important do you think that could be in helping the homeowner identify the right landscaper?
Very important, because it shows that you have a great relationship with past clients. It shows that you
Mm,
are, the company is reputable. It shows that the company is reliable. It shows that the company is doing what they're supposed to be doing when it comes to their projects. And they should be, like I said, easy to get along with. If that's the case, it shouldn't be no problem
mm-hmm.
for Premium Greens to go back on any project and go and
Right,
shoot old content. We do it all the
right,
time.
right, right,
Because we want the clients to see, hey, this is, we done this project, in 2020. Want you to
right,
take a
right,
look at it, this and that. And not, a lot of times the clients, even get on camera and talk about their experience from 5 years ago.
right,
and
right,
it, and
right,
it, and
right,
it's just to say that, man, just a call, just a call, and the client call from 5 years ago. I That's pretty well, I would say. I'm not tooting our own horn, but we have clients to do that, and hey,
right.
man, we can catch up. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
they have
yeah, yeah,
children
yeah,
9 times out
yeah.
of 10. I have children, family. How is this person doing? How is that person doing? We can kind of catch up. And hey, since you're here, a lot of times, yeah, I want you to take a look at that, because we were just talking about this. You guys might even have another project on top
Right,
of
right,
showing your
right,
client, client that you want to do, this new client that you want to do some work for. You might have something else in store. It's just to say
yeah,
that,
that's good, that's
just
good.
you know what I mean. What is the book by Carnegie, uh, how to
How
win
to win
friends
friends and influence
and
others.
influence people. Yeah. You know what I mean? It speaks about it. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you just having a great attitude and just doing
Hmm.
quality work. So it's
Right.
very important. It's very
Right.
important.
I like that,
Yeah.
Mar. And then I think that with that understanding, what we get from that is that the relationship that you're able to build with your clients, it speaks a lot for the homeowner because it says that the relationship that we've built, it says that we go back 5 and 10 years with our homeowners from jobs that we've done. And it said that if you're a homeowner and you're able to get that experience from the contractor having been able to give you people that they've done work for over the last 5 years that can say that they do great work, but that have also been able to become an integral part of their life where they've been able to do more work and they've been able to intertwine themselves with their family. That's the type of contractor that you want to work with because it
Mhm.
said that they're not only going to be there to get the work done, they're actually going to be there in order to ensure that the work that the relationship is built and that you get the birthday reminders and that they're actually being treated as a customer. And then when you're spending 20, 30, $40,000 with that customer, I mean with that particular company, you want to know that you're going to be treated like that same customer. So I think that's a very, very good point. And it brings me to my next one, which is that of the communication and the collaboration that is necessary when you begin to select the right contractor. The communication and collaboration is very important to the extent of it being necessary to have a clear communication. And one of the things that I
Mhm.
found is that a clear communication is often created through a line that is automated, meaning that it said that in 2025, you want to be able to be in a position so that when a customer submits a quote request asking for your service, you automatically can follow up with an email. You need something that does that. You also need something that provides you with the ability to be able to, I would say, at the minimum, be able to have a constant communication with your customer just based on what they are asking and or what they are saying. So when you think about a clear communication, we're talking about every time you reach out to them, whether they're reaching back out to you right away or they're reaching out to you with an response or what we have is an AI agent. So when you call
Mhm.
us, you can reach out to us 24/7. So these type of integrations where we have an AI agent, where we have the ability for you to be able to have a chat bot to speak to on our online website, where you have the ability to be able to have as soon as your email or I'm sorry, your quote goes out, you get an automated
Mhm.
email response 3 days later to follow up with you. That also ensures that after your job is done, you get an email that ensures that you were happy with it. A lot of these systems and processes that we have in place are necessary in order to ensure a customer experience that establishes clear communication channels. And so, wanted to see some of the other ideas that you had when it came to creating communication and collaborating in the most effective manner.
Yeah, so a lot of one speaks right offhand is once we get done with working for that day, we always get because a lot of times you have clients that have to run out, have to go to practice, soccer, football, track. Sometimes they work late. They're not getting home. Sometimes they're out of town. Just whatever the case may be. We all have busy lives and not and a lot of times the contractors are gone by the time sometimes the homeowners are
Right,
there. A lot of times they're there,
right.
but a lot of times they're not. So one thing we do is take pictures all throughout the day for our own content, but then also too we take pictures for the homeowner because they get an email and text message
Mm,
each and every day after we get done with the project, what we done that day, what we were able to accomplish, what this is right here, particular things. I like to do a lot of voice notes a lot of time on text with picture, like I said, plus the email so the client understands, and then let them know what time we'll be out, the next day. Sometime we
mhm,
might have a rain delay. Sometime it may be
mhm,
raining. Hey, this is the reason why we have, this covered up right here. We put the, plants out in the middle of the grass so they can get some water, why, because it was hot that day and it's supposed to rain tonight. We
Mhm.
have we poured the footer for the wall and it's starting to dry. So please don't, be alarmed. Don't go down, and make sure, wash the pets and the children as they go down. It's wet cement. We have it taped off. All of these things, come into play because we want to make sure
Mhm.
that we communicate these skills, and we don't want our clients to guess on what we
Right.
have going because they don't know. That's the reason why we're there to
Right.
start and complete the project as professionals because they don't know. So that's no
Right.
problem. We give them a heads up and let them know and walk them through the steps of what
That's
we have
good. That's
going
good.
from start to finish.
That's good. That's good. And it really reminds me that at the end of the day, what we're saying is that, through establishing clear communication, we're allowing ourselves to be able to discuss the design ideas in detail. And by being able to discuss the design ideas in detail, the expectations are able to be understood a lot more easier. So if you're a homeowner, you want to be working with a contractor that is able to identify very easy for you what the design details look like. You want to be with a company that allows for you to be able to understand what the expectations are going to be like when it comes to the timeline, when it comes to the way in which your project is going to be completed and the
Right.
process is going to be completed. And so what Marv is really helping us identify is that, one of the ways that he ensures that his customer is able to feel confident in that process is the way in which they go about the discussion about the design ideas, the way in which they go about the expectations that are going to be completed on the landscape. And then more importantly, all focus on being able to provide a clear, effective communication. And I think that that's very, very, very important. And want to get to the next thought consciousness because I think that a lot of homeowners think about this, but they don't necessarily think about it until it's too late. And that's understanding the contractual agreements that come with
Mhm.
purchasing a home. And so when you think about finalizing the contract and the project details, this is also something that should go just as smoothly as the transition for you wanting them to be a particular customer of yours. It says that, I'm sorry, to be for them to be a particular company that you choose. It says that as a customer, you must understand the terms and conditions of the contract that you're signing. Very, very, very important. And I want to get you to kind of talk about this, Marv, in the sense of understanding the scope of work and why it's important to understand that from a project perspective and the specifications being all laid out on paper. How is that going to be very useful for a homeowner going down the road? Maybe they see something that they didn't have on paper. Would you say that before you sign anything, that reviewing the scope of work and the project specifications is something that they should definitely be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question because make sure that whatever is on there before you sign, make sure it is what it is. So, a lot of times, we bring out samples. We have our sample booklet. We have actual live samples of different
Right.
colors and things of that nature. Because a lot of time they're nice and pretty and clean in that book.
Mhm.
And then once they, a lot of time, homeowners have to understand that they've been on the yard, they've been freshly made a lot of times, so they don't look as
Mhm.
as vibrant a lot of
Right.
time. And well, what colors, and sometimes they're out on the dusty yard for 2 or 3 weeks, a month,
Mhm.
2 months.
Mhm.
So the color might not be there until you wash it, install it, and wash it. But I'm just saying that to say, just make sure your colors are correct. Make sure
Right.
whatever um you look on that contract before you sign, so everything is what it is. And then honestly, it helps because if I know a lot of time and I hear stories about um not having, or the client said, okay, all right, great, I like this, this cap block right here, but I wanted another 500 more square feet of this particular
Mhm.
cap block around. Now you verbally talk about it, but perhaps you didn't put it into
Mhm.
your you didn't put it into the contract. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as the contractor, you have to specify, it was 250 square feet, and then you need
Mm-hmm.
another contract, for this change, for
Mm-hmm.
another change work order, because you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you can get the material and get it done, because you can't give it free, because it's 500 more square. It's double
Right,
what you
right,
initially
right.
asked
It's
for.
so it's necessary. It's necessary to be looking
Right.
at
It
this.
is.
And then I think another thing that I want to underscore based on that of not only understanding the terms, conditions, and understanding that you're getting the right color, but it's also understanding the agreement that you're going to be going with when it comes to payment. I think a
Right.
lot of people do payment differently. So understanding the payment terms of a landscaping company, maybe before you decide to sit down and sign the paperwork is very important because
Right.
you may be someone that doesn't want to put more than 50% up. You may be somebody that doesn't even want to put 50% up. I think
Right.
you're going to save yourself a tremendous amount of time by asking those questions up front because as a landscaping company like myself, I wouldn't do job for a company for a customer who wasn't willing to put 50% up front. But that's just me. There's some
Right.
people that are in this case by case basis. I understand people have bad experiences, and so if it's necessary, we will be able to work with them. But the magnitude in which we are able to move on a job and that ability to finish a job that may cost tens of thousands of dollars in less than 2 to 3 to 4 days says that the 50% thought consciousness is the best way for us to protect each other. But for
That's
some
right.
people, that may not be the case. And for you, you may not be okay with that. And so
That's
it's
right.
necessary for you to identify before you get to the signing process how payment is going to be structured and then also the terms and conditions of that payment so that you can ensure that you have the best experience possible when
Possible.
working with another company and or choosing the right company for your for your landscaping outdoor landscaping journey. And so the next thing that I want to talk about is being able to monitor the progress and the quality of work. Now, we've all had the homeowner that stays outside the entire time while we're working, and they don't leave, right? And
Yeah.
I like that homeowner because that homeowner gets to learn the majority of how the process goes. I get
They
to
can go
ask
to
them a
school.
tremendous amount of process. I mean, a tremendous
Yeah.
amount of questions about the process. They get to have a hands on, and some people like
Yeah.
to be hands on, but you have to identify what type of homeowner you're going to be. Like if
Right.
you're going to be a homeowner that comes out at 12 o'clock, come out at 12 o'clock. If you're going to stay there the entire time, stay there the entire time. I think what happens is without a homeowner being able to have a regular set mind of how they're going to communicate with the landscaper, they miss out. And so they come in at wrong times and they may find themselves confused, misunderstood about what's happening because they're not able to be informed properly just because of their timing. And so we like
Right.
to tell people, hey, around lunchtime is a great time to come out. Of course, you can come out anytime that you want, but the proper landscaping company is going to be okay with you being there the entire time,
Right.
and they're also going to help you identify when's the best time to come out in order to offer the most input. Is that what you've seen in your thought consciousness?
Yes. Absolutely,
Mm.
man. Absolutely,
So,
because it's and I definitely understand, and a lot of times, I believe clients come out because they're excited.
right,
A
right,
lot of time
right.
they're excited, you know what I mean, and they just and they just
Yeah.
can't vision, that they can vision it perhaps, you know what I mean, they have
Yeah,
their drawing and their design, but
yeah,
it's nothing like
yeah,
visually seeing it. So
yeah,
I mean, we definitely have, but when those clients do, I definitely take them to school, because I mean,
yeah.
I'm glad so you can see. you can
Yeah.
actually see, and then we can tell and show you the process, because I guarantee a lot of times, you will not get that. You won't get that
No.
from a
No.
lot of contractors. They don't even want to see,
No.
see how it built the base, hey, see how you excavated, see how you might, you put your level,
Right. Right.
your
Right.
digital
Right.
smart level to work, and make sure everything is where it needs to be, make sure the pitch and the fall is correct, make sure your base is how it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
We can,
Mhm.
and this is this for that, and the drainage, and I mean just
Mhm.
all of that. So I
Mhm.
think it's a really good thing if you're willing to learn. But I mean, if you're coming out there for the case of, because you have skepticism of the contractor, that might not be well. You might have made the wrong
Right.
decision if you are skeptic about this. The your contractor and what they are able of doing. I don't think that's really a good fit. So come out there with an open mind and and wanting to understand and really learn, so you can get the most of it, and then you can start to understand as you see, because you're initially going to have to live here, and really take hold and understand this investment that you have invested in, and
Right.
make sure that you're fully aware of what's going on. So I think it's a really good thing when they come out and ask questions, or perhaps even stay all day. We have a lot of clients that come out and make the guys cookies, and if you don't watch it, them
Yeah.
Joes won't even
Yeah.
tell you that you know what I'm saying, that they done
Yeah.
made cookies and lunch,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean, for you.
Yeah.
So, but you know what I mean, but
Yeah, that's
that's
deep. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. I like that because it does say that, by being able to have that type of mindset, it just makes the overall experience after you've
yeah.
decided to go with the contractor even better. Which leads me to the next conversation, which is being able to evaluate the completed project. And so, one of the things that we like homeowners to be able to identify is how we're able to assess the overall outcome.
Hmm. 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 Right. Hmm. Yep. Hmm. Right. Hmm. Yeah. Man, that's a great question. Just like buying a brand new GMC, Caddy, Rolls Royce, Benz. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You're not. You're definitely going to have to do some maintenance on it. If you burn rubber, you're going to have to get new tires. I mean, if you baby it, you know what I mean, and keep it in the garage, all the time, still gonna have to drive it. So what I'm saying is,
Right.
the great question, you're definitely gonna have to do maintenance on it, depending on what kind of project you had at your house.
Right.
Perhaps you might have had a patio done. Some patios come with a sealer already,
Right.
built in,
Right.
but a lot of them don't. So you can upgrade, you can put a sealer down, but guess what, you're going to have to do it every couple of years. You got to make
Right.
sure that
Right.
you, a lot of times with patios, and especially in the fall time, lighter color patios, a lot of time what happens is the leaves fall from the trees, and then they stain the patio and kind of leave like a print, a leaf print, that's
Mm-hmm.
on the patio. But
Right.
with a little bleach, water, and a hard bristle brush, guess what? You can scrub that down, be it the client or contractor, and get that off,
Mm-hmm.
spray it off. If any kind of poly sand or paper sand is in the joints of the patio, you can
Mm-hmm.
always put that back, because a lot of times a lot of people pressure wash,
Mm-hmm.
and it disperses from the hard mist of the pressure washer. A lot of time the poly breaks from
Yeah.
in between the joints, and you have to reapply. So what I'm saying, different
Right.
things like that, just making
Right.
sure everything is where it needs to be. When you cut the grass, a lot of times you want to make sure you get the grass clippings off, because it's hard as it is. I have seen grass want to grow up in between
Mm-hmm.
the paver sometime. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
time, if you're not getting
Mm-hmm.
sun in that
Yeah.
particular area,
Yeah.
throughout the day, you might have a little wet spot and a little mold area on the patio, even though the patio drains well. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like
Right.
anything else, you're definitely going to have to, have some upkeep on it. But it's really a great question, and that leads back to the price. That leads
Mm.
back to the price. To
Mm.
in my opinion, and reason why I said it, because a great contract, he's going to let you know that a lot of times, they can come out, because I know, we do it ourselves. Is a couple of times a year, we'll put you on a 6 month, after we do a project, if we put any kind of light plantings out, mulch,
Mhm.
pine straw out, we'll come back and refresh. Sure, we'll charge you for it, but we'll come back out and then reassess again to see if everything is where it needs to be. But that's
Mhm.
going, we're not going to Acapulco. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
and just
Right.
not gonna come,
Mhm.
and just hanging out
Right.
for a
Right.
vacation or whatever. We're going to give you a
Right.
maintenance, but I believe that all falls back into the bottom number, and having a great relationship with the client, letting the client see, the previous jobs, and and building a strong relationship and communicating. Um, uh, you know, um, with the company,
Right.
evaluating the properties. So,
Right.
that's how I honestly look at it. And what,
Yeah.
when it
Yeah.
comes, yeah, you know what I mean? When it comes
Yeah. That's
to
good. That's good.
um,
That's good.
that.
And when it comes to being able to understand the maintenance overall
Yeah.
for sustainable landscape, and I think that just goes without saying now that if you're a homeowner and you're going to be purchasing some type of outdoor landscape experience, and you're going to be picking out a company that you with, it's essential that you understand that there's a part that you play as well. Outside of deciding who to work with, it's also ensuring that everything that that company would have told you to do, that you do, and then also making sure that you maintain it. Which leads me to the fact that the reality is, if you're a homeowner, oftentimes you're not able to get everything done at once. And so, how do you begin to enhance your outdoor space over time? And I think that
Mhm.
as a real contractor would have, they would have come out, they would have assessed your landscape, guys, and they would have told you, hey, problem. So before we start thinking that you can put this beautiful paper patio out here, or you can begin to do a lot of these amazing outdoor Pinterest ideas that you have, we must first begin to deal with the landscape drainage problem, which is being able to take the water that's coming in from the neighbor's yard and being able to first put it into a drain box that takes it off the land before we can begin to think about the beautiful green grass, right? So
Right.
these are the conversations that you want to make sure that your contractor is having with you. They want to be able to take you down a paved road that allows for you to be able to see that in years 2 and 3, you may not be able to get all of it done right now, but there's going to be a process that allows you to get there at some point. And I think that that gives you an opportunity to be able to see the bigger picture between what you want to get done, what you need to get done, and how you're going to be able to get it done. And so being able to explore additional landscape ideas and features with your existing contractor, and or as you're trying to find the right contractor, allows for you to be able to decide whether or not this is going to be the right fit for you, just simply based on the ideas, right? Based on the ideas of what someone is able to tell you that you can possibly do to your landscape in step 2 and step 3, and then provide you with an overall thought consciousness of a design that doesn't just solve your problem or deal
Yeah.
with your need. You know, a lot of times what we need as a homeowner isn't exactly what our landscape needs,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And so we
Right.
want to make sure that we want somebody that's honest with us. And so
Yeah.
say that by being able to have an idea of exploring additional landscape ideas and features with the contractor that you work with, that's very, very, very important. And so
We got
now we have
we
some
got
individuals that area. She says, do you know any contractors in the Fayetteville, North Carolina having a hard time getting anyone to help? I would
absolutely.
say that's deep, because let's talk
Yeah,
about that
absolutely.
when we Ariel, because and contractors in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, it says that there are multiple ways to go about it, but we can definitely send you some, because I think it comes
Absolutely.
down to the due diligence that you would have gone about, and then also being able to find the one that you want. What about you, Marvin? I think we can definitely find someone, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's no problem at all. I got a couple in in thought right now. So I tell
Okay.
you what, the bet I tell you what, can you put my
I,
email? Just
yeah,
put
yeah. I put your email on the
yeah, and just email
chat.
us, Ariel. Just email us and then we can talk further and get you absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll put you in the chat, I think, Mar. You know, we just we new to this, man. So, Ariel, you gotta bear with us.
Gotcha.
But
All
I
members
hadn't
are
figured it out
there.
yet. You should be able to hit the chat though, right, Mar? Can you hit the
Yeah,
chat? Because what
so
I
it
was
says,
gonna do is I'm just gonna add Ariel, and then just be able to reach out that way as well. Because
yeah. However it is,
I
yeah, I
think
would
by the
like
time
to.
we get by the time we get to
So, Ariel, if you're still on, just
yeah, we'll be able to get to it. Mention there we
live chat,
go. So
some
yeah, so it
messages.
just says that what I did, I put her into the I put her in I put her into the ability for us to be able to reach out to her later. So what I'll do Ariel, if you can still hear us, you can definitely reach out to us by following us on Instagram. I mean, on YouTube. You'll see
Hmm.
Premium Greens. You'll also see Brooks Landscaping, and
Yeah,
then we want to
just reach
encourage you
out
to
to us.
reach out
Yeah,
to us. One way that you can do so. What's your email, Marvin?
it's premium. Premium premium greens at Gmail. That'd be the
Okay.
that'd be the best one. Or you can look us up on YouTube. You can look us up on Instagram, and
Right.
we're ultracut ultracut, and just hit us give us a direct message, and just
Yep.
say, hey, we're coming out from YouTube live, and and we definitely can talk further, because definitely have some great contractors in that area right now. I'm thinking of two that I personally know that do bang up work,
Right.
great
Right.
contractor. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that's no problem at all.
Yeah, and then we'll definitely be sure to reach out to you, Ariel, so that way you'll be able to identify for yourself, how
Absolutely.
to go
Thank
through
you for
this
the question.
that we've talked about in order to take advantage of the multiple different ones. So we definitely have somebody, and we'll be reaching out to you personally in order. But what that does for us tonight, guys, it wraps up the conclusion of what we've been trying to help you all understand, and that's how to begin to choose the ideal landscaping company in order to provide yourself with a transformational journey as a homeowner when it comes to your outdoor living experience. And we went through a lot of different things tonight that's going to help you as a homeowner be able to identify how to pick the proper contractor, because there's
Mhm.
nothing worse than buyer's remorse. But it doesn't have to be that way in 2025. We've talked about how to be able to begin to check the receipt these existing companies by being able to see if they have anything to show for themselves of the work that they've done over the last 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months, 2 to 3 years. What we're seeing is that oftentimes the homeowners that find themselves in the toughest position, they're working with contractors that doesn't have any receipts. They're not able to be found on Google. They're not able to be found on YouTube. They're not able to be found on all the platforms that people typically do business on. And so, what our goal was today was just to help you identify some of the tools that you can begin to use that
That's
are
right.
right at your fingertips that will help you not only save time, but also save a tremendous amount of money.
That's
Okay,
right.
so picking the right contractor will save you so much money, because there's nothing more costly than doing the same thing twice. And I can tell you this, it even hurts worse when you're doing it a third time.
All
Okay.
right.
And we see it all the time. It happens all the time, guys. And at the end of the day, you want the green grass, right? And so if the contractor gets it wrong the first time, you still want the green grass. You got a drainage problem. If the contractor gets it wrong the first time, you still got a drainage problem. So
That's
we
right.
have to make sure that the information that we're sharing with you tonight is resonating to the extent that you want clear communication. You want to make sure that you're able to have a system with your contractor that allows for you to be able to receive a seamless quote that identifies exactly what's happening. You want to be able to compare and contrast between landscape companies by just simply asking the right question. Something such as, what do you see for my landscape in years 2 and 3 regarding a second or third phase? Identifying how they see your landscape, and then evaluating the landscaping companies just based on their credentials, based on the work that they've done, based whether or not they have insurance and their license. These are the basics and the standards that we want you guys to begin to utilize every
I
time
understand.
you think about hiring a landscape contractor. It's necessary. And then, more importantly, as we said earlier, research, research, research. Understanding the landscaping needs of your particular job, and then researching out the proper landscape professional absolutely critical. So we thank each and every one of you all for being here tonight. We're going to continue to come to you guys live and help homeowners identify how to begin to take back control over the landscape. And that's what we're here for right here at the Landscape Geeks Learning Academy. I'm Brooks Landscaping, but it does say that I got my great colleague Marvin Ingram with Premium Greens with me. And we're going to keep coming to you guys to give you information that I believe is going to help homeowners be able to level up so that they can actually feel confident when picking contractors, so that they can feel confident about their next landscaping project. Marv,
Yeah.
is there anything that you'd like to say before we leave tonight?
Man, you was hot. I don't
Yes,
have
indeed,
nothing,
baby.
man. Yeah. I
It's,
don't have anything. I enjoy myself. I mean, it's a great
yes,
live. I
indeed.
mean, because we come in contact with too many clients, too many great people,
Yes,
things of that nature. And honestly, even though I love to get paid for what we do well, but at the same time, I like to give great information to people because I like great information about things that I don't know. So
right,
is
right,
point blank is that. So
right.
like you said, we're going to be here to help clients with different things as we have learned, throughout the years and learning ourselves in this industry, and just want to bring it to the masses, to the clients, the people that are most valued to us, and continue to keep on giving great quality work and great quality information.
That's good. That's good. And I thank you all for being here. And I thank you, Marv, for the amount of time that you take out of your day to just be able to provide this information to people, because this is a service that we've undertaken over 15 years ago when we said that we wanted to give customers more quality, more quantity of service than that of what's expected. We've been able to do that over the last 15 years. And now it's about being able to give that same quality and quantity to homeowners so that across the country, you may be able to find the right landscaping company that you're looking for. So, if you want to download the ebook that allow us to be able to give this information to you, check out brookslandscaping.net. That's brookslandscaping.net. Net. Brookslandscaping.net. You're going to be able to download the ebook, and you're going to be able to get information that helps you decide how you pick your next landscape contractor. Thank you guys for being here today. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Marv, for being here with me today and helping my community and the entire community, our community, the landscape community, homeowners and landscapers level up by being able to understand how to find the right contractor.
My man, I appreciate you too, bro. Have a good evening, man.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.